It was supposed to be a birthday gift. But when her husband unwrapped the watch, her world shattered. A stolen heirloom, a secret affair, and a betrayal buried deep within her own family. This is the story of Amira Kane, the woman who turned heartbreak into power and silence into her sharpest weapon. Speech Balloon subscribe, drop a hello in the comments, and tell us where you're watching from. Because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about reclaiming your peace when everyone else tries to steal it. The living room smelled of frosting and candle wax. Balloons floated lazily against the ceiling, and a chocolate cake sat on the counter with "Happy Birthday, Darian" written in gold icing. Amira had spent the whole morning decorating, smiling at the thought of surprising her husband. They had been married for 7 years. Years filled with birthdays, anniversaries, and late-night laughter. But something about this one felt different, though she couldn't explain why. Then the doorbell rang, and the last package arrived. It was small, neatly wrapped in silver paper, and had her mother's handwriting on the tag. "Feels fancy," Darian said, shaking the box gently with a grin. "What do you think they got me this time?" Amira forced a smile. "Why don't you find out?" He tore the paper slowly, enjoying the suspense, until the silver wrapping fell away and the box clicked open. Inside lay a gold-edged watch with a dark leather strap that caught the light perfectly. Darian's eyes lit up.
"Wow.
Your parents really went all out." But Amira's smile froze. Her breath caught in her throat, and she whispered before she could stop herself, "Don't touch it." Darian blinked. "What?" Her voice came out sharper. "Just don't touch it." He froze, the watch dangling between his fingers. His grin faded into confusion. "It's just a watch, Amira. What's wrong with you?" But she couldn't answer. Her heartbeat thundered in her chest. Every detail on that watch, the cracked glass near the number 6, the faint scratch on the clasp, was burned into her memory. "Put it back," she whispered. "Please." Darian hesitated, studying her face, then slowly placed it back in the box. "Okay," he said carefully. "You're scaring me. What's going on?" Amira couldn't speak. She sat down, pressing her trembling hands together. To anyone else, that watch was a luxury. But to her, it was something else, a ghost from the past. Darian leaned forward. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I can't explain," she murmured. "Just leave it in the box." He sighed, frustration rising. "Amira, it's my birthday. You're acting like this thing is cursed." She looked up, her eyes wet. "Maybe it is." He frowned, shaking his head. "You're not making sense. It's a gift from your parents. Shouldn't I thank them?" Amira looked down at the watch again. "You don't understand. That watch isn't supposed to exist." Darian leaned back, confused. "What do you mean? It's new, right?" She shook her head slowly.
"No.
It's not new. It belonged to my grandfather." He frowned. "Your grandfather? But your parents sent it." She nodded. "Yes, but that's what doesn't make sense. That watch disappeared years ago." He blinked. "Disappeared?" "Yes," she said quietly. "It was stolen." Darian stared at her like she was telling a ghost story. "You're saying your parents sent me a stolen watch?" Amira met his eyes, her face pale. "I'm saying that watch was stolen from my family, and whoever sent it wants you to have it." When Darian went upstairs later to shower, Amira couldn't sit still. She pulled out her phone and dialed her mother. Her mother's voice came through warm and cheerful.
"Hi, sweetheart.
"How's the birthday boy?" "Mom," Amira said softly, glancing toward the stairs. "Where did you get that watch you sent him?" There was a pause. "What do you mean?" "Please, Mom.
Just tell me."
"Did you buy it?" Her mother hesitated. "We didn't. It came back to us in the mail. No name, no note, just the watch." Amira's grip on the phone tightened. "Someone just sent it to you?" "Yes," her mother said. "Your father thought it was a mistake. But there was a note inside." Amira's heart stopped. "What did it say?" Her mother's voice dropped. "It said, 'He deserves this more than anyone.'" Amira pressed her forehead to the wall. "He deserves this? Who wrote that?" "We don't know," her mother said gently. "We thought it was sweet. Your father always liked Darian." We figured maybe it was meant for him. Amira's stomach twisted. Mom, you shouldn't have sent it. I know. But how are we supposed to know it would upset you? She ended the call, staring at the wall. The house suddenly felt colder. Someone had sent that watch to her parents, someone who wanted Darian to have it. And the question that haunted her was why. The next morning, after Darian left for work, Amira stood in his office doorway. She had never snooped before. He trusted her, and she had always believed in that trust. But today, trust meant nothing. She opened his desk drawer. Papers, pens, receipts, ordinary things. But then she saw the envelopes tucked beneath a folder. The first one she opened made her blood run cold. It was a hotel receipt. The date matched one of his so-called business trips. She opened another envelope, then froze. Inside was a letter, written in a familiar hand. Her cousin's handwriting. The letter began softly. My love, thank you for choosing me, even when it's hard. Amira's knees buckled. She tore through the other envelopes, each one revealing more. Letters, photos, receipts. And in all of them, the same handwriting, the same smiling faces. Darian and her cousin Nella. Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. And then she found it, the final note, colder than the rest. Your wife doesn't know. She never will. Keep it between us. She can't handle the truth about the watch. Amira dropped the letter. Her world shattered in silence. Amira sat on the floor, her hands trembling as she tried to make sense of what she'd just read. Every letter was a dagger. The hotel receipts, the notes, the photographs. All proof of years of betrayal. Not months, not weeks.
Years.
Nella, her cousin, the woman who had once braided her hair at family gatherings, had been in her house, laughing with her, eating her food, and all the while, she had been writing love letters to Amira's husband. She picked up one of the photos. Darian's arm was wrapped around Nella's shoulders, his lips brushing her cheek, both smiling like they belonged to each other. It felt like poison in her veins. By the time Darian came home that evening, Amira had already hidden everything, the letters, the photos, the receipts, in a folder beneath her bed. She couldn't eat, couldn't think clearly, but she knew one thing. She needed answers. When he walked through the door, loosening his tie with that familiar grin, she didn't smile back. What's for dinner? He asked, tossing his keys onto the counter. Amira's voice was cold. You tell me, Darian. What do you think we should have after 7 years of lies? He froze, his hand hovering over the counter. What's that supposed to mean? She laid the folder on the table, sliding it toward him. It means I know everything. His face drained of color as he opened it. Letters. Receipts. Photos. He stared at them silently, his lips parting but no words coming out. Finally, he whispered, Amira, this isn't what it looks like. She laughed bitterly. Don't you dare say that line to me. You've said enough lies for a lifetime. It meant nothing, he said quickly. It was a mistake. A stupid mistake. A mistake that lasted years, she shouted. With my cousin? He stepped forward, reaching for her, but she backed away. Amira, I didn't mean to hurt you. I was trying to protect you. Her eyes widened. Protect me? From what? The truth? From finding out that the man I loved was sleeping with my own blood. He sighed, running his hands through his hair. You wouldn't understand. Nella needed me. Amira's voice trembled, but her fury kept it steady. She needed you? I was your wife. I needed you, and you gave everything to her. Darian lowered his head. I'm sorry. You're not sorry, she said quietly. You're caught. For a long moment, they just stood there. Two strangers staring across a marriage built on ashes. Amira finally spoke, her voice calm but deadly. You stole from my family. Darian flinched. What are you talking about? The watch, she said. The one Nella took years ago. You helped her. You covered for her. You lied to my parents. You stood in front of my father, smiling, while you were part of the betrayal. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. That silence told her everything. Amira's heart broke all over again. How could you, she whispered. You didn't just break my trust. You destroyed my families. He tried to step closer again. Amira, listen. It's complicated. No, she said sharply. It's cruel. He tried again, softer now. I love you, Amira. That hasn't changed. She shook her head. It has. Everything has. And in that moment, something inside her hardened. She realized she couldn't cry anymore. The pain had turned into something else, cold, sharp, determined. She took a slow breath and said, Maybe we can fix this. Darian's eyes widened. You mean it? She nodded, pretending to waver. If you're willing to work for it. He grabbed her hand, relief washing over his face. I will. I promise. But Amira's smile never reached her eyes. Inside, she was already planning her revenge. From that day on, Amira played her part perfectly. She smiled when he came home, cooked his favorite meals, and listened when he promised to change. But behind that calm face, she was collecting evidence, every message, every call, every transaction that tied him and Nella together. At night, while Darian slept beside her, she unlocked his phone and sent everything to a hidden folder only she could access. The more she found, the colder she became. The affair wasn't just emotional, it was financial. He had helped Nella hide what she stole. Every secret made Amira stronger. She wasn't just a betrayed wife anymore. She was a woman preparing for war. Weeks passed. Her parents noticed nothing. At family gatherings, she laughed at the right moments and spoke gently, never letting her mask slip. But every time she looked at her father, guilt twisted inside her. He still blamed himself for losing the watch years ago, never knowing that the Real thieves sat at his table. Amira promised herself that one day, he would know the truth. But not through whispers or rumors. She wanted the truth to explode in front of everyone, to make them all see what kind of people Darian and Nella really were. And when the chance came, she didn't hesitate. It happened one Sunday evening when her parents invited the whole family for dinner. The house was full, laughter, chatter, glasses clinking. Nella was there too, sitting across from Amira, wearing a soft blue dress and a perfect smile. Darian sat beside his wife, his hand resting on hers like nothing had ever gone wrong. But Amira's heart was steady. She had been waiting for this. When dessert was served and everyone was relaxed, she stood up slowly and placed something on the table, the gold watch. The room went silent. Her father's eyes widened. That's my father's watch. Yes, Amira said calmly. The one that vanished years ago. Nella's smile twitched. It didn't disappear by accident, Amira continued. It was stolen. And when I started asking questions, I found out who took it. Her mother frowned. Amira, what are you saying? She looked straight at Nella. She took it. The room gasped. Nella's fork slipped from her hand and clattered against her plate. That's not true, she cried. Why would I? Because you had help. Amira cut in. Darian's help. Her husband's face turned pale. The laughter was gone. The air was sharp and still. Every eye in the room turned toward Darian. His confident posture stiffened, his jaw tightening. Amira, he said softly, his voice calm but trembling underneath. That's enough. You're embarrassing yourself. She didn't flinch.
No, Darian.
I'm saving myself. For 7 years, I've lived beside a liar who stole from my family and thought I'd never find out. Her father stood halfway from his chair. Is this true? He demanded, his voice deep and shaking with anger. Darian raised his hands, his charm cracking. Sir, please, it's not what it looks like. Amira cut in sharply. Stop saying that. You've used that excuse too many times. Nella tried to speak, her voice trembling. Uncle, I swear I didn't. Don't lie, Amira interrupted, sliding a folder onto the table. Every letter, every receipt, every picture. Proof of what you both did. It's all here. She opened the folder. The papers spilled out like confessions, hotel receipts, handwritten letters, photos of Nella and Darian together. Even the note about the watch. The room filled with stunned silence. Her mother covered her mouth. Her father clenched his fists, veins rising on his neck. Darian stood frozen. Nella reached for the papers, but her father slammed his hand down, stopping her. "Enough," he said, his voice breaking. "You've disgraced this family." Nella's eyes filled with tears. "Uncle, please, I can explain." "No," he said firmly. "You can leave." She turned toward Amira, sobbing. "Please, cousin, I made a mistake. I was lost." Amira's eyes were cold.
No, Nella.
"You were found. You just chose the wrong path." Nella broke down crying, her face buried in her hands. Darian stood silent beside her, guilt written all over him. Her father looked at him next. "And you? You stood in my house, eating my food, while lying to me. You're no man." Darian swallowed hard, his lips trembling. "Sir, I'm sorry." Amira didn't look away. "Sorry doesn't fix what you stole. It doesn't fix the years you both took from me." Her voice didn't rise, but it cut deeper than any shout. The family watched in silence as she gathered the letters and the watch. "You can keep your apologies," she said softly. "I've already taken back everything else." Then she turned and walked out. No tears, no shouting. Just calm footsteps on the wooden floor. Behind her, the sound of Nella's sobs filled the air, and Darian called after her weakly, "Amira, wait." But she didn't stop. For the first time, she didn't have to. The days after that dinner were quiet, but heavy. Her phone rang constantly, Darian calling, Nella texting, relatives whispering, but she didn't answer. The truth was out, and that was enough. One morning, she sat at her kitchen table, sipping tea and staring at the watch. It gleamed softly in the sunlight. The same watch that once symbolized her family's unity had now revealed every lie. She smiled faintly. "Guess you did your job," she whispered. Later that day, she walked into a lawyer's office with a folder full of evidence. The man looked through the papers, then met her eyes. "You've already won," he said. Filing for divorce was easier than she expected. Darian tried to resist at first, calling her, sending flowers, begging for another chance. But Amira didn't bend. Every word he said reminded her of the lies. The more he pleaded, the more she saw through him. When he realized she wasn't coming back, his tone changed. He started threatening. "If you take this to court, you'll ruin both of us," he said over the phone one night. Amira's voice stayed calm. "You already ruined us, Darian. I'm just finishing what you started." That was the last time she ever picked up his calls. When the court papers arrived, Darian didn't fight. He gave up more than he wanted: the house, the savings, even their joint business account. His lawyer must have warned him how bad the evidence looked. The divorce was final in less than 2 months. Amira walked out of the courthouse wearing a light beige coat and holding her head high. The wind was cold, but it felt like freedom brushing against her face. Behind her, Darian stood on the steps, watching her leave. For once, the man who always had the last word said nothing. And that silence was her victory. Word spread quickly through Boston. The charming Darian everyone once admired wasn't so charming anymore. Friends avoided him. Clients stopped calling. The same people who had laughed at his jokes now crossed the street to avoid him. His perfect image cracked beyond repair. Amira didn't gloat, but she didn't pity him either. He had chosen his path, and now he was walking it alone. As for Nella, she disappeared for a while. But a few weeks later, Amira found a letter in her mailbox. The handwriting was familiar. She didn't even open it. She lit a match, watched it burn, and let the ashes fall into the sink. Her life, after that, was quiet at first. The silence in the house was strange. No footsteps, no late-night murmurs, no arguments. But slowly, that silence became peace. She began working again, taking freelance design projects, rebuilding her life piece by piece. Her friends started coming around more, offering support. "You look stronger," one of them said. Amira smiled. "I feel stronger." There were nights she still thought about what she'd lost. But then she remembered what she'd gained: clarity, peace, and her own power. She didn't need Darian's approval anymore. She had her own story now. One evening, her father visited unexpectedly. He stood at her door holding a small wooden box. May I come in? He asked softly. She nodded and stepped aside. He placed the box on her table and opened it. Inside lay the watch, freshly polished. It's yours now, he said quietly. You brought it back to the family. Amira stared at it, her throat tightening. I don't know if I want to keep it.
Her father smiled sadly.
It's not about keeping it. It's about remembering that truth always finds its way home. Amira ran her fingers over the leather strap. The scratches and cracks were still there, marks of pain and survival. I'll take care of it, she said softly. Her father nodded and patted her shoulder. I'm proud of you, Amira. When he left, she sat there for a long time, staring at the watch, feeling its weight, not just in her hands, but in her heart. It wasn't a reminder of betrayal anymore. It was a symbol of strength, of how far she'd come. And that night, for the first time in years, she slept peacefully, no secrets, no lies, just the quiet rhythm of freedom. The next few months became a journey of rediscovery. Amira filled her days with purpose, joining a small design firm downtown. Her ideas brought color into dull spaces, and soon her boss began giving her larger projects. Every morning, she walked past the same cafe where she and Darian used to sit. At first, it hurt to look inside. But over time, it became easier, proof that she could walk past her past and not flinch. She was learning to live again, one quiet victory at a time. One afternoon, while heading home from work, she ran into an old family friend. Amira, he said, surprised. I heard about what happened. I just want you to know, everyone's proud of how you handled it. You showed grace. She smiled faintly. I didn't feel graceful. He chuckled. You don't have to feel it to be it. His words stayed with her long after he left. That night, she looked at herself in the mirror. Not the woman Darian betrayed, not the cousin's victim, but the woman who survived it all and built herself again. Meanwhile, Darian's life continued to crumble. He lost his job when the scandal reached his office. A few of their old friends whispered about how his new apartment was small, how he spent his evenings alone. Amira didn't care for revenge anymore, but hearing that he finally faced the consequences gave her quiet closure. One rainy night, her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. I'm sorry. I ruined everything. Please, can we talk? Amira stared at it for a long time, then deleted it. Some doors weren't meant to open again. Nella resurfaced a few months later. She came to Amira's office unannounced, looking thinner, nervous, and tired. Can we talk? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. Amira hesitated but finally said, 5 minutes. Nella sat across from her, eyes wet. I'm sorry. I was jealous of your family, of your peace. I wanted what you had. And Darian, he made me feel important. Amira nodded slowly. You stole from me, Nella. Not just a watch, not just a husband, you stole my trust. Nella lowered her head. I know, and I'll never forgive myself. For a moment, silence filled the room. Amira looked at her cousin, not with hate, but with finality. I already forgave you, she said softly. Not for you. For me. Nella looked up, startled. You did?
Yes.
Because carrying the anger was too heavy. But forgiveness doesn't mean we go back. You live your life, and I'll live mine. Tears rolled down Nella's cheeks. Thank you, she whispered before leaving the office quietly. Amira sat there for a long time, letting the peace of that decision sink in. Some endings didn't need apologies, just closure. As months passed, Amira began traveling for work. Each new city gave her a sense of renewal, fresh air, new faces, no history. In Paris, she visited a small antique shop, and there she saw a display of old watches. One of them looked strikingly like her grandfather's, only cleaner, untouched by betrayal. The shopkeeper smiled. Each of these carries a story, he said. Amira smiled back. Yes, she murmured. Some stories hurt, but they make us stronger.
She didn't buy it.
She didn't need another reminder. The one at home was enough. One evening, she hosted her parents for dinner in her apartment. The table was warm, filled with laughter, just like before everything broke. Her mother glanced around and said, It's been a while since I've seen you this happy. Amira nodded. It's because I stopped trying to fix people who didn't want to be fixed. Her father smiled proudly. You've grown into a woman your grandfather would be proud of. They raised their glasses together. That night, when they left, Amira stood at her window watching the city lights, knowing her peace wasn't borrowed. It was built. Weeks later, she received an award from her company for excellence in design. Standing on the small stage, microphone in hand, she looked at the crowd and said, "Sometimes life breaks us to show us what we're made of. I learned that strength isn't about never falling. It's about standing up when the ground disappears beneath you." Applause filled the hall, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel like an imposter. She felt free. Her story had finally shifted from survival to success. That night, when she returned home, the house felt alive again. On her dresser sat the old watch, still ticking softly. She picked it up and smiled. "We made it," she whispered. It no longer symbolized loss. It symbolized resilience, family, and time healed. She placed it gently back in its box, locked it, and slid it into a drawer. Some memories deserved rest, not reminders. Then she sat by the window, writing in her journal. "Today," she wrote, "I choose peace over pain, truth over comfort, and myself over everything that broke me." As dawn crept through the curtains, Amira brewed her coffee and watched the sunrise spread over the skyline. The past was behind her, sealed with lessons instead of wounds. She had faced betrayal, uncovered secrets, and stood in rooms where lies once ruled, and she had walked out stronger. The watch that once returned like a curse had become her turning point. She smiled softly, whispering to herself, "Time doesn't just move, it heals." And with that, she stepped into her new day, no longer the woman haunted by betrayal, but the one reborn from it. And please don't forget to tap the bell, so every new folktale reaches you first. Tell us in the comments what you think about the story. And tell us where you're watching from. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this beautiful story with friends, family, and loved ones so they too can remember.